It wasn't the stick, it was my pelvis was broken.
With the temperature now hovering at 110 degrees, Greg is literally frying in the sun. As he drags himself towards the shade of his downed aircraft, his thoughts turn to other dangers that threaten his life.
Being in the bush for so many years, you get to know absolutely every single noise. You know every footfall. You know which footfall belongs to which animal. I was terrified that maybe something would come and sneak up on me. And I couldn't do anything, I couldn't run. And then I heard elephants, a whole herd.
It is in fact an entire herd of elephants, and they're moving right towards him.
And I thought, they've got to sense that I'm here. If they detect you at the right moment, that's fine. If they detect you too late, that's the scary bit. Because then you're in their attack distance. And I thought, if the wind is wrong and they don't detect me until the very last minute, that's when I'm in trouble. And then suddenly there was this huge screech of... And I remember just thinking, oh no, please, just don't stampede. And I just had this absolute fear that I'm going to be trampled.
Greg has dodged a bullet. The herd moves on away from him.
I wanted to cry at this point. And I realized then that I couldn't have cried even if I wanted to. There was no moisture for me to expend on tears. They wouldn't have come anyway.
The head warden of Cinematella Wildlife Refuge, Norman English, organises a search and rescue party. The park is over 700 square miles. He and Greg's best friend Peter can only start looking for Greg where the rhino he was tracking was last sighted.
Did he radio in at any point?
Nah, no radio contact at all. But he was searching up near where the rhino were last sighted.
The rhinos are tagged, right? If we find them, we find Greg.
Greg took the only tracking device we have with him.
Without a tracking device, Peter and Norman have no way of knowing where Greg's plane crashed.
I was sure that he was alive, but you know that you've not got much time. Almost as each minute passes by, of course, you're becoming more and more concerned.
What about an aerial search?
Already started. Pilot from Victoria Falls came up in his Cessna.
I was thinking, we have to find him. Even if you've survived the crash, there's animals, there's wildlife that can kill him. The chances of him surviving are getting slimmer and slimmer.
Peter and Norman have no idea that Greg is 40 miles from where they think he is. Greg's condition is now critical because of his injuries, exposure in the hot temperatures, and lack of water.
I was so close to the plane, I could smell the petrol. I gave it all the energy I possibly could. And just as I got underneath it, something felt a bit sticky on my mouth. My lips had turned to rubber. They'd plasticized. And a piece of my lip came off. And it went to the back of my throat. I suddenly came to this horrible realization. I just swallowed my lip.
But within moments, Greg has a new worry. He hears the sound of an animal walking nearby.
It was lion footfall. And I listened very, very carefully, and it was getting closer and closer. And then I heard this call. It was a lioness. And lionesses have a very distinctive call they use when they're calling cubs. And obviously, because she was a mother with cubs, that makes her far more dangerous.
Greg knows that animals in the wild have a unique defense strategy. They make sharp, sudden noises to scare off their enemies. As the lioness moves in closer to Greg, he knows that creating a noise at the right time is his only defense. When he finally sees the big cat's silhouette, he makes his move. With daylight fading, the search pilot will soon have to return to base. There's still no sign of Greg or the wreckage.
I heard the plane. And then I started to get almost excited. And then I thought, no, I'm still a needle in a haystack. They had an area to search of about 1,000 square kilometers. And I wanted to scream, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. Hello! Hello! I almost wanted to will the plane in, come my way, I can hear you, please. Hello! And then there was silence. I remember that silence now so well. It was killing. Nothing is going to happen now until tomorrow morning, at the very earliest. And I've got to start thinking about the night. And of course, as a biologist, the night is always a dangerous time anywhere.
It probably won't help much. I'm just going to take the Land Rover out, see what I can find.
There's no way you're gonna find him in the dark. We don't want to lose you too.
I won't be long. I'll be back soon.
I suddenly came to the harsh realization that there's not much left of me. I'm a mess. And I actually, at that point, I thought, do I really want to carry on? Did I want to live, or did I want to die?
As the night closed in, it was that awful feeling. It was really awful. I was trying to imagine what it would be like for him now, still being out there.
I thought about my life, and I thought, well, I've had a good life. I have achieved. I was suddenly, for a very short period of time, I was at total peace with myself. I wasn't afraid of it. I wasn't afraid of that death experience. I suddenly realized that I had it in me, the power